Alright, welcome back, Space Cadets. Welcome back, people of YouTube. It's Willie here with Spaceman Aquatics, bringing you another video on today. Today's topic, how do I prepare for a beginner aquarium? Or how do I prepare for an aquarium for beginners? So, before we begin this video, I would like for you all to please comment, like, share, subscribe so we can grow this channel. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. The reason I came up with this video, the reason I decided to talk about this video is I also work at a retail pet store, and I hear parents come in all the time saying things like their kids, they got a goldfish at the fair, or they got a goldfish at the carnival, and they don't know what to do with it, or simply it's just, you may just want a fish tank for the first time and you don't know where to begin. I'm here to answer those questions for you on today. The first thing that you will need is, obviously, you need to understand where your fish tank is gonna go. If you don't know where your fish tank is gonna go, you really shouldn't decide on getting a fish, because where your fish is gonna go, whether it's going to be in an office, on a desk, if it's going to be in a living room, you can for a show tank, if it's gonna be in your children's room, if it's just gonna be, I don't know, in your bathroom. You need to understand how much room you have to work with, because that's going to determine the size of the tank that you have. The size of the tank that you have will determine the amount of fish and what type of fish that you can get into the tank. Now, if you're one of those parents that your child just showed up home from the fair or from the school carnival with a goldfish, that's a different story. You may have to think and go big, because goldfish get really huge, and I'll get into that later on in the video. So, the first thing you need to know is your tank size, or what type of tank you want. There's lots of different options. You can get a kit, a tank kit, a starter kit that will come with pretty much everything you need roughly. That will be a hang on the back filter, a heater, possibly lights, a sample of water conditioner, and a sample of food. That's usually how those kits go. Me personally, I like to build up tanks from the ground up. Meaning I like to get just a standalone tank, get my own filtration system. I usually like to either get a sponge filter, I sometimes get internal filters, or hang on the back filters. It really just depends on what type of fish I'm putting into the tank. And I like to get my own type of lighting as well, because I like to do planted tanks. Now, if you're not into planted tanks, you're a complete beginner, don't worry about it. A starter kit is pretty much everything that you'll need, and you really don't have to worry about much unless you're trying to get more advanced into the hobby. The next thing you'll probably need is, of course, your decoration. It's all aesthetic, it's all about what you want. Don't worry about it looking like the next person's tank. Again, it's all up to you, it's all up to your children and what they want to look like. I like planted tanks. I like my tanks to look natural. If you don't like that, that's okay. You can put SpongeBob in your tank. You can have pink rocks, blue rocks. It's okay. That brings me over to the next topic, your substrate. Substrate is also dealer's choice. If you want plants, you might want to think about a planted substrate, some sort of sand, or a beneficial gravel or beneficial clay-based type substrate. You can use that in planted tanks, and that will provide a lot of nutrition. Or you can go ahead and, like I said, you can use pink rocks, blue rocks, rainbow rocks. That's okay. You can use very large river stones. That's all aesthetic, and it's all up to you. It's all based off of what you want in your tank, and that's going to make you happy when you look at it. The next thing that here is, again, lighting. Lighting isn't very important or super important if you have a beginner tank. If you don't have plants, or maybe even coral, if you have saltwater tanks, you really don't have to worry about lights as much. The lights in that case, if you don't have those type of tanks, is really just for the owner to look at the aquarium. It's just for you to be able to see your fish. It's not going to be super beneficial. Of course, fish do have a sense of day and night. They are more relaxed when the lights are out. So if you want them to be more active, maybe you have the lights on a little bit longer. Again, that's all up to you. Now, I want to go ahead and take a second and talk about the next topic, and talk about chemicals. Now, you will need chemicals when it comes to owning a fish tank. The kits do come with a sample. You might want to buy extra bottles of chemicals for you when you do your water changes, such as water conditioner, and even buying up or getting an extra bottle of some sort of beneficial bacteria to help continue to get your fish tank cycled. And we'll talk about cycling a fish tank in the next video. That video will be a topic of filtration and cycling your tank. So stay tuned for that one. And you probably want to also pick up a test kit. It's very important to test your tank frequently. I would say at least once a week. It's important to always know what the water parameters are in your tank. That way you know when is the best time to do a water change, if you need to change up your feeding schedule a little bit. Helping out with a test kit, a water parameter test kit, will definitely take you a long way in being successful in the hobby. Now, with that being said, you have all your materials, you have your chemicals, you have your test kit, you have your starter kit for your tank. Now you're ready to get your fish. Now, before I go into this here, I do want to go ahead and let you know that buying a fish or getting a fish and scaling it down for your tank is very situational. Now, what I mean by that is when you're buying a fish, you need to understand that that fish may get bigger. The tank that you have may not house that fish for its entire life. So it's best to pick fish that are scaled down for your size of the aquarium, which is why I said at the beginning of the video that you need to understand exactly what size tank you need before you even get a fish. Example, goldfish can get very, very large. Most people like to put goldfish in a bowl or a 10-gallon tank, 20-gallon tank, and unfortunately that is not going to happen. That's not going to happen. It's just not beneficial for that animal. That animal will outgrow that tank, and that animal will eventually suffer if it has to remain in a smaller tank while it's trying to grow into its full size. It will significantly cut down the lifespan of that animal. And if you're trying to be successful in this hobby, again, do your research and buy the tank for the fish that you need. Of course, you can always buy bigger as you get along in the hobby if you have fish that get bigger, but just keep in mind that a goldfish, a tinfoil barb, a common plecostomus, a angelfish, they're not going to survive in a 10-gallon tank for more than a couple months before they start to get too big, maybe possibly too aggressive, or possibly even die and suffer from the issues that they're having with growing in a smaller tank. So again, just keep that in mind when you are buying your fish. Now, the next thing here is fish food. Depending on the fish that you got, you need to scale or you need to get the proper fish food. Goldfish have proper goldfish diets. We have tropical diets for your tropical fish. There are veggie diets for your veggie eaters, your algae eaters, and there are also an array of pellet diets that for different fish, cichlids, bottom feeders, even other tropical fish. Again, when it comes to fish food, it's really just based off of the species that you have in your tank. Please be mindful that you do need to have food for everyone in your tank. Otherwise, you may have a scaled up aggression for more aggressive fish. And please be mindful of how much you feed the fish, especially for beginners. That's one of the biggest issues that beginners have, is overfeeding the fish. That can cause all types of problems with the water parameters, and that's also why I suggested to buy a test kit as well, so that you are aware of what's going on in your tank at all times. With that being said, that's pretty much everything you'll need for a beginner to understand how to get prepared and set up for a tank. Again, the next video I'll get more into depth with the science behind it, the reason why you need to understand the importance of filtration and the water and cycling your tank and cleaning your tank. So we'll go over that in the next video. With that being said, this is Willie with Spaceman Aquatics. I've done enough talking. I'm out.